Okay, so later in a few videos down the road, we'll talk about how to start other services and how to stop other services on your system, and it's going to be similar to this. We'll talk in more detail then about how to stop and start services. I just kind of want to get you started with the Apache web server right now, just to show you a couple things. So what we'll do is we'll say this, we'll run this script, and then we say start. We put a space in there and say start, and that will start the web server on our machine. All right, now look at this alert here. It says, could not determine the server's fully qualified domain name. And that's because I don't have a fully qualified domain name on this machine that I'm running. But if I did, then what that means is that anybody could look at this, my web server, over from any computer at all on the internet. So they would look at it by typing something like www.cbtnuggets.com. That's a fully qualified domain name for the web server for CBT Nuggets. Okay, you can see here it says it could not determine the fully qualified domain name, so it's using 127.0.0.1 as the internet address for my web server. Now what this number here is, 127.0.0.1, is actually the local loopback address. So when we talk about networking in a few videos, we'll use this address to diagnose whether our network is up and running. For right now, just know that 127.0.0.1 refers to the local machine, no matter what machine you're sitting on. And if we want to look at the web server for this local machine, we can type this address into a web browser. So let's do that right now. Let's open up a Mozilla web browser. Click on that red horse head there, and we're opening up the Mozilla web browser, and then what we'll do is we'll type in the address 127.0.0.1. So I'll hit enter. Okay, and now we get this test page. You can see here it says this page is used to test the proper operation of Apache. If you can read this page, it means the Apache web server is installed at this site and is working properly. Okay, so that's good. So it's working properly. It says if you're the administrator of this website, you may now add content to this directory and replace this page. So what's this directory? What's this page? Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, so let me minimize this window. Now we're back at the command line, and let's go to the etc httpd directory. Under there is a subdirectory called conf for configuration. So we'll go in there and do a listing, and you can see there's various configuration files for the Apache web server. This is the one that we want to look at, the httpd.conf. This is the most important configuration file in here, and what this configuration file holds is all sorts of stuff. Let's actually look through it with the more command. We'll do that. And now we're looking through it one page at a time. I'm going to hit the / down here to search for a couple terms. Let's look for root first, capital R-O-O-T. So we'll hit enter, and now we find the various things about root. There's the server root there. I'll hit N for next. And here's the actual definition of the server root. It says /etc/httpd. All right. So what this is this is stuff like where the configuration files are, where the error files are, the log files, that kind of stuff is kept under /etc/httpd. So I'm going to hit N for next again, and now you can see here's the document root. Now the document root is where the documents that the web server serves up, where those various pages are kept, and that's in /var/www/html. Okay, so let's go to this directory now and look at the files in there, and so we can see where this test page was located. All right, so I'm going to quit out of here with a Q, and let's go over to that var directory. We'll go to var www/html, and we'll go in there and do a listing. And you can see in there this file called index.html. This is the file that is our initial page here. Let me bring this page back up. You can see here the page, the title for that page is test page for the Apache web server on Red Hat Linux. The first thing on the page is this big text called test page. This page is used to test the, and that's the text that's written there. So now what I want to do is look at this index.html file, and we'll look at it using the VI editor. Okay, so I'll hit enter here. So I'm going to VI index.html and hit enter. And now we're here. So here you can see the title, test page for the Apache web server on Red Hat Linux. That's what was up at the top of the title bar up here on the actual web page. Here the H1 here is just a large header. H1 is the largest size, and H just stands for a header. You can see it's aligned in the center, and the text of that header is test page. All right, so again, going back to the web browser window, that's what creates this piece of text right here. Okay, that's what's creating that piece of text. All right, and then you can see this page is used to test the proper operation of the Apache web server. Again, if we go back to the web browser window, you can see that text. This page is used to test the proper operation of the Apache web server. Okay, so this is the page that we're seeing there. All right, so if we make an edit to that page, let's just go down with the down arrow. We'll go forward here with the right arrow, and I'll hit I for insert. And now I can just type something. Let's type Perry's test page. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll save that. I'll hit escape, shift colon, and then WQ to write my changes and quit out of the VI editor. And now I've changed index.html. So let's go back to this web browser, okay? And you don't see it says Perry's test page. That's because this is the old test page that we were looking at. If I hit reload, that'll reload it, and now you can see it says Perry's test page there. All right, so now we've changed index.html. If you were really running a web server, you'd probably just completely scrap this index.html file and start over and just, put up whatever content you wanted to. Okay, this is just a way for you to get started to see what's there. You learn some HTML. It's not too hard to learn, and you can put up whatever kind of web pages you want on your system. And Apache and Linux is probably the most popular way to run web servers out there on the internet today. Most of the web servers that are out there are Apache web servers running on Linux computers. Well, it's time to wrap up our nugget on installing software or packages, and we talked about the main package managers in Linux, RPM and Debian, and I tried to just give you an idea of how to use these to install software, and then we actually walked through some installations with the Red Hat package manager, and you saw the good side of things, how it just installed nicely, and it dealt with everything. Then we saw when we actually had some dependencies, how to take care of those dependencies, and that's really like the central theme of this video, is just, how you're going to have to deal with problems when you're installing software, and that was sort of a classic problem that we ran into, and we walked through the solution to it. Well, I hope you found this nugget informative, and thanks again for viewing.